Tito Cruz is outside. You know, my whole projects was under Smurf back in '88. Everybody was under Tito Cruz with the Smurf crack. So he had like buildings all over and everybody was eating. There was a lot of chicken. But one day me and my man was on our way to school, but my man wanted to cut school. So when we stopped to cut school, Tito Cruz came up to us like, yo, what y'all doing right now? We like nothing. We supposed to be in school, but we chilling. So he like, yo, listen, sit on this bench and watch this. He said, watch this garbage can. So the way they used to do it back in the days with crack and stuff like that, they would put their crack inside like the little brown bags that the penny candies or stuff would come in the store, and they'd just ball it up and throw it. Wherever it land, that's the stash spot.
Like the what it do, sitting with the crew, had to get some food. I see you looking like you do. Had to make a move. Still I gotta grow in a Jimmy Choo's. Break the rules, no you're not a fool, but I'm in the mood.
Alright, peace y'all, it's Nate Almighty, aka the Global Dark Skinny Ambassador, man. I'm here, and actually, it's ironic because just last week, before I even hit you up, and I was thinking about it somewhere when my comments was like, yo, you know who Iron Sheikh is? You got to get him on. I was like, I was just about to ask the brother that anyway. You know what I'm saying? So this is fate right here, man. We got the OG, man. Not OG because he older. Not OG because he from the streets. OG because he handled his business. He stood tall and he got knowledge himself. You know what I'm saying? And I never seen him out here trying to steer the youth to do nothing silly. This is Iron Sheikh, man. What's going on, my brother?
Ain't nothing. Y'all already know what it is, man. Iron Sheikh, a.k.a. Abdullah the Butcher, a.k.a. Akbar the Rockstar, a.k.a. Black Adam, Army of Allah, War General, Fresh in the Flesh, BX, we in the building.
All right, so without further ado, we gonna get into it, man. First of all, let the people know where you from.
I'm from the South Bronx, Killer Courtlandt, a.k.a. the Gaza Strip, a.k.a. Bucktown, a.k.a. Baghdad, New York, South Bronx, man.
All right, cool. Now, for those of us watching this who don't know who you are, tell us about what it was like for you growing up on Courtlandt as a kid. How old were you when you first started getting involved in the street life? And without, of course, saying anything that you don't want to say. You know what I'm saying?
I'm into
some of the things that you was getting involved in.
Yeah, well, first, I'm from the heart of Courtlandt. I'm from 156th Street in Courtlandt, building 765. And 156 is the heart of Courtlandt because that's where Melrose Projects and Jackson Projects both start. I'm from Jackson Projects across the street from Melrose, but the building I'm from, 765, was the same building the Torres brothers lived in. And if y'all don't know who the Torres brothers is, they had the checkmate dope. They just came home. They both did 33 years in jail. I think it's George and Victor Torres, but they did 33 years in jail. And the Torres brothers was responsible for putting Boy George on. They the one that gave him his start and his break. So they was from my building. And then also, they're originally from Girard Ave, but when you back then, when the Kingpins, they had stash houses all over, mistresses and 2 and 3 wifeys and 4 wifeys. So, but one of their buildings, they lived at my building, on a high floor. And then, on the 3rd floor of my building was Tito Cruz. That was another Kingpin. And, Tito Cruz had the Smurf crack back in the, early 80s. They called it Smurf because they had the powder blue tops. And, he wound up doing it big, going to the feds, and then when he came home, he came out with the Assassino dope and the gold top crack. But anyway, that was my first experience, to the street life, because I'm growing up on the heart of Courtlandt. My windows face directly on Courtlandt, and then the 2 back windows to the apartment that I'm born and raised in, it faces the upper part of Courtlandt, like heading towards 155th Street, 153rd Street and everything. So I used to always look out the window when I'm 5, 6, 7, 8 years old, and back then, the kids used to be outside because the whole community raised the kids. So if we grew up together, me and you would be outside and it'd be jams in the park. We could stay out till 11, 12 at night on a hot summer day and no problems would have happened because people would have knew, oh, that's Miss Johnson's son, and that's Miss Jackson's grandson, and everybody was community, it was love. So growing up on Courtlandt in the early 80s, you know, when I was young, I seen all the kingpins, you know, but I didn't really know what it was, but I just knew a lot of dudes had nice cars and dudes had nice jewelry. And each block, the way Courtlandt is set up, each block was a different crew. So 156 was one crew, and then 155 was another crew, and then 154 was another crew, and it was like that on both sides of the street. So one team might be on 156 in this corner, and one team might be on 156 on the other side of the corner. So it was a lot of rules. Nobody couldn't cross over to each other corner or block and sell drugs on it or whatever. So there was a lot of jams in the park. There was tenor patrol. Niggas' grandmothers sat in front of the buildings, so anybody just couldn't come in any specific building because you'd have to sign a book. Because niggas' grandmothers was tenor patrol, so if you come into the building, they didn't recognize you, or even if they knew you was from another building, they would be like, oh, you gotta sign this book and what apartment you going to. So it was kind of like a legislation, a document, like a chronicle to, you know, just to monitor and pinpoint times and stuff like that. And you know, it was candy stores, penny candy stores. It was more family orientated. That nobody really used to lock their door. So like if you lived on the 15th floor and I lived on the 10, I was able to just come up to your crib and come in the house because your family fuck with my family and everybody was tight. You know, it was more family orientation. There was a lot of rules back then too. So there was order. You know what I'm saying? There was a lot of order. So anyway, as I started growing up, I got into the street life around 12. That's 1988. So 1988 is the height. 1988 is the height of the crack epidemic. Slick Rick just dropped the Ruler album. Rakim is live action at this time. Public Enemy is heavy in the streets. They influencing. And it's jams in the park. It's still, it ain't gangs no more. It's crews. So what I mean by that was this, all the gangs like Black Spade, Savage Skulls, all them type of gangs was like fading out. Because a lot of them old timers that was in them gangs from the 70s transitioning to the 80s, they got caught up in the crack era. So crack came out in 83. Before that, it was known as freebase. That's what Richard Pryor was doing, the freebase. But in 83, it became hardcore crack. So anyway, in 88, you know, it's crews now, it's cliques and crews. So one day, me and my man Chicky Boom Boom, we going to school, and Tito Cruz is outside. You know, my whole projects was under Smurf back in 88. Everybody was under Tito Cruz with the Smurf crack. So he had like buildings all over and everybody was eating. There was a lot of chicken. But one day, me and my man was on our way to school, but my man wanted to cut school. So when we stopped to cut school, Tito Cruz came up to us like, yo, what y'all doing right now? We like nothing. We supposed to be in school, but we chilling. So he like, yo, listen, sit on this bench and watch this. He said, watch this garbage can. So the way they used to do it back in the days with crack and stuff like that, they would put their crack inside like the little brown bags that the penny candies or stuff would come in the store, and they'd just ball it up and throw it. Wherever it land, that's the stash spot. So if they throw it and it land like in the open right there right there in front of the bench, that's the stash spot. So that's kind of like hiding in plain sight. You know what I'm saying? So it's hiding in plain sight because it's in a crumpled up brown bag. You would think it's garbage on the floor. You know what I'm saying? So we sat on the bench, we watched it. And when we watched it for probably 20 minutes. He came back, he gave us $100 a piece and like, yo, Gary, y'all can burn it up, y'all can leave now. You know what I'm saying? So we left. So we like, oh shit, $100. So oh shit, these niggas is getting money. You know, $100 was big back then because I was able to go get me some dunks, some dunk Nikes and all type of shit. You know, at this time, you know, it's Lee suits, it's Taylor suits, it's AJ suits, it's different shit. So long story short, he gave us the $100. We breezed off. So they had a store near the school we went to. They had a store called the Sweet Shop. It's on 156th Street in Grand Concourse. So we went to the Sweet Shop, bought candy and all type of shit, and we just chilled out for the rest of the day. And that was my introduction to the street life because I wanted to do it again. I packed bags growing up, so I always had a newspaper route, and I always packed bags. So me and my mans and us, we was already used to money because back then you was able to pack bags and make like $200 a day off of packing bags. But to make $100 in one shot that fast just for doing nothing,
change your life.
But yeah, that shit was a different movie because packing bags is hard work. I gotta put all your groceries, canned foods, and all that shit in the bag, you know, and stuff like that. And growing up, we all was poor and we struggled, but our families handled their business to the extent where we didn't know we was poor and struggling.
Yeah.
Because we still was all fly, you know, we always had food in our stomach and shit like that. So long story short, in 88 was my introduction to the street life. And I knew like, oh, I gotta with this because this gonna get the bag. You know what I'm saying? So that was that. You know what I'm saying? And then from there, it took off.